My name is Shantell Martin, and I'm the host of What's the Point? This is a conversation series dedicated to exploring why artists create art and the forces that influence us. Join me as I sit down with artists and friends to talk about their reasons for doing what they do and why they continue to create.
For me, the point of art is creating your own language.
A lot of times when I shoot, I think of how's this going to look in 10 years?
I don't really think about the individual colors as much as I think about how they play off of each other.
Oh, the point is the journey.
And I start to get a sense of what the painting is going to be like.
Because the point of art could simply be just to make it.
Today's guest, Calida Rawles. Calida is a painter who merges realism and abstraction. Her work depicts a connection between water, Black life, as well as dealing with themes about beauty, power, race, and spirituality. She has had shows across the country in states like California, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and New York. Her first solo museum exhibition, Away with the Tides, focused on the stories and the experiences of people of Overtown, a Miami neighborhood that has suffered from gentrification and mass displacement. Calida, welcome. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. I know that you're incredibly busy. Last time I saw you was last year. You were preparing for Miami.
Yes.
And so catch me up. How was that show? How did everything go?
The Miami show was wonderful. I was really glad to create that work that, I don't know, that I feel like touched the community. It was really about, I don't know, I got asked to do a site-specific show for something in Miami that would bring the community to feel like they were being seen. And I started doing a little research and found out about Overtown and that community there. And, I never thought of where is a historically Black neighborhood in Miami. So doing that research and then creating something with that community in mind was really fun to do. And I think it reached them and a lot of people because the show was traveling. The things that we discussed, the things I discussed in the show, I think they're universal and very much something that is happening all around the country, like this erasure of the Black community, either through some type of systematic racism.
Yeah.
But now it's at Memphis Brooks Museum in Memphis. So I'm excited about that. And then I'll travel to Florida and Atlanta.
So when you were finding out about that community, did you go out and speak to people there or you went there physically beforehand? What was that research like?
Yeah, it was really serendipitous or something. My husband's cousin worked at the Overtown Community Center. So I started talking to her and then we did kind of a scouting of different people I could talk to. I know I wanted to talk to and really document, you could say, people from a range of ages. So she gave me all these people that would be interested in me talking to them, recording them, videotaping them, and also taking pictures for paintings. I did. I talked to them before, got images. I was like, I'd love their face. I'd love to paint them. Talked to them on the phone. And then I went to Miami for 2 weeks, spent time there, going all through Overtown, taking images, the people in the historically Black pool and beach, especially during the 60s when they were both segregated. So I went to Virginia Key Beach, took back some people that were 75, 80. They hadn't been there in a while, and took images of them also in the Overtown community. So it was really fun just to think of history in a way. And I think it was more the most historically filled show. I think I expressed how I feel or my reaction to what's happening at the time. That was the first time I did some really deep research of Black history, you could say.
And what did the final body of work look like?
It was representational and definitely hyper-realistic, like I paint. But I think what I kept thinking about is how with Eisenhower's Federal Highway Act, where he put these highways in these Black and brown communities all around the country, and it broke up these highly economic hubs for Black communities around the country. And like Overtown was almost like the second Harlem, but in the South. And when the highway was built and put right in the middle, like I think it was like 12,000 people like lost their homes. It was dispersed, and it didn't really get to come back. You know what? I don't even remember what your question is.
Yeah.
Did that question answer?
Yeah,
Did that answer
it was kind of like, the body of work.
Yeah, so I broke it up. So
Yeah.
the people themselves, like they're fractured.
Yeah.
Like the bodies are, I guess you could say, like you'd see just the legs coming in the water, but the legs were maybe in the shape of Overtown, and then they were like kind of broken pieces, but you could still see some people, like, just their faces.
And so speaking to people from Overtown, when a town goes through gentrification, it goes through this like kind of process of erasure. Like, what does that look like? Do people just leave? Are they fragmented? They don't have a community? Like, what are the results of that?
I think sometimes they have to leave.
Yeah.
They go to another area where they think they could thrive. So it's just like they're broken apart. And then sometimes they stay. There were people there that were like, I've been here since I was born in Overtown, and like very representational. Like the one painting I did, Towner for Life, he had the tattoo on his chest. It's like they're proud of that community and being there. I think it takes on different forms. But economically, if there were 300 businesses at one time, and you had restaurants, hotels, and all of these things, and they're all gone, what it looks like is people, I would imagine a lot of families that are depressed, they put so much time and effort in creating businesses and then that's taking away. And then now gentrification coming. So they're getting pushed out again. And we're seeing that happen all around.
Yeah.
And we're also about to go into a really weird space economically in this country. People have to figure out, like, where do we go from here?
Yeah. So I'd say congratulations on the show. And it's amazing that it's traveling because it's an important message and a body of work that is going to be seen by other people in different places, so that it will get exposed, kind of like what's happening there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Whenever I look at your work, I'm reminded that I need to learn how to swim, which I feel like I'm going to do it this year. I found someone, I met a guy called Jamal Hill who has a swim school called Swim Uphill, and he's an Olympic swimmer. And so I think all stars are aligning. So, now I'll be looking at your work and be like, okay, that's me. I can swim, but I'll get there eventually. Where do you think this fascination with water and, black bodies in water came from?
I think it was, from what you're saying, me learning how to swim.
Yeah.
I learned to swim later in my life. I was in my mid-30s, early 30s. I saw a friend, and I was at one of my daughter's schools, and I saw this friend of mine I hadn't seen in a while. And I was like, she looked great. Like, I need to work out. What are you doing? And she told me she was doing this master swim class. And when she was like, why don't you come? And I was like, yeah, I'll go. Because I remember swimming as a kid in the public pool, like just swimming around. But I didn't think about it at the time that I was probably like standing in the water, and I was a little kid. And I'd never swim lessons, but in my brain, I was like, yeah, I'll come to the master swim class and swim. So I show up at this swim where everyone was like either are on swim teams or they were real swimmers, right? That like do ocean swim and all this stuff. And I show up and the coach is like, here, let me see how fast you go across, and then I could, put you in the timed lane. I could hardly get across one time. I almost felt like I was drowning. I was like, about to hold on to the little rope. And then I was like, okay, I can get back to the other side. I was so scared. I thought I was going to die. And then she like gave me a kickboard, and she was like, all you need to do is, first of all, get out of the pool at this depth, go all the way down to the end and just kick back and forth. And then I kept coming back. And the coach gave me a little lesson like every time. She was very kind to me until I learned how to swim. And then I was going 2-3 times a week, and I was dedicated. I was going to learn how to swim. And then I started going up the lanes, and then I was getting faster. And then it was very therapeutic, and it felt so good. And I remember being, so we swam, the time I went was like at high noon, which No one should do that for their skin, it's the worst time to try to swim outside. But it's so beautiful. Like the light is popping off, these like light pops, and it just looks so majestic. And I'm in the water and I'd be swimming and I would just think it was the most beautiful thing. I was like, I wish I could capture this. I wish I could show these like spots that happen. I want to paint this in my practice. And then I just remember feeling like, I don't know, like, every time when I got in the water, I just felt really, like whatever I was upset about or something was on my heart, or if I was angry or stressed, it just felt lighter when I got out of the pool. And I remember it clicked in my head. I was like, I could take this and talk, maybe I could talk about heavy subjects and it won't feel heavy looking at it. Like if I'm talking about police brutality in some way, or if I'm talking about just something, how I'm feeling of what happened with Roe v. Wade, like taken away, like all of these different things that are stressful and hard to kind of talk about. It doesn't have to look like it.
Yeah.
It could just look like a beautiful painting, and sometimes you could take it in and sometimes you don't. Like sometimes you just need your mind to rest and feel the beauty. But then there's like layers and depth to the work with doing like locations, topographical locations where something historically happened, or just the subjects that I'm thinking behind it. But I don't know. I want to, sometimes there's beauty in pain. And sometimes it's like, I just don't want to think so much about it. So I hope my work can look also like a rest or a moment, or even talking about the balance of that in life. I felt like when I was in the water, I found a spiritual connection to myself where it was like, I don't know, it just made me think about like the metaphors of life, how I feel like sometimes I'm drowning, or like spiritually, like it feels like everything is just too much. And at the same time, like I can laugh with my daughter or laugh with a friend and it's just so joyous. And I was thinking that's so symbolic sometimes in water, where it's something that's deadly and dangerous, but at the same time, it feels so good, and it's something that you do in vacation. But then it became in class, made me start thinking about class, that access to water and what people bring to water is their own story. There's some people who look at water and they're super frightened, but yet they see an image of someone that has agency. And there's some people that like they just vacation, they have pools in their backyard, and it makes them think of their summertime vacation somewhere. And then there's others that, I get so many different reactions to the work of what they see. And that feels good, that people can bring their stories and their relationship to it. And it's just been fun to explore. I find abstraction in the realism. And then I have more fun as a painter.
I love that, looking at water as windows into people's stories or reflections of their own life, because like I said, I shared, my reaction or my kind of story with that window. And there's an incredible story of how you started swimming. It sounded like you didn't have that fear. You almost didn't even have that memory if you could swim or not. You just showed up. But then you didn't give up. You pushed through that, and then you became, a very kind of confident swimmer through that. And, I think that's quite beautiful in the sense of you discovered, oh, this is something I'm not really able to do in the way that I thought I could, but if I keep showing up, I will. And then that led you to these windows that bridge people's stories and their own relationship to water, to yours. And the ability to use it in, an abstract way to tell these layered stories that have depth to them and can be quite tough at the same time, and you choose kind of where you go in that layer. Yeah.
People can see like someone's asked me before, like, are you going to write something on the side of your painting so they know all the stuff that you're thinking? I was like, no, someone can come. I'm okay with that. They just see someone swimming, that's okay. But if they want to come to a talk and understand what I was thinking, that's something else. But I don't know. I don't want to, like, if sometimes I need my own break too.
Yeah. And you've put that work in the work, the intention, the research, that's in your hand, and then it's transferred into the work. So if people understand that or not, it's still a part of that fabric of what you're creating.
True.
Yeah.
True, it is. And there's like an energy that you can see some work. Like some artists or some work you can feel like you gravitate to stronger. And I've been pretty blessed, I could say. I think a lot of people have a good response to the work. It feels strong. And I try to put it there. I try to put my feelings in there. There's some works that I've like cried while I'm painting, or I've like, and I'll just channel. I think I'm really good at that. I know some people when they're stressed, and everyone, there's no judgment in it, but some people they retract in or they can't, they have to, like they lay in bed. I'm not like a lay in bed person. I'm like, let's build a house. I don't know how. Let's just, like I have to do something is the only way to like kind of not feel maybe too. Some people like sit in it. I'm like, nope, I got to figure it out. And I do love a challenge. When I was told I couldn't, like when I realized that I couldn't swim as good as I thought, or I couldn't swim really at all. I don't know what I was thinking. And then it became like, I'm gonna take this on. And that's how I feel like I approach like my large canvases with my little brushes. I see it, and I think somebody may feel overwhelmed with the size, and I don't really go to big brushes. So it's a lot of detail work. But I see that as a challenge, and it's kind of fun. It's like eating a whale, like one bite at a time, and just knowing, like I'll just give myself, like I'm going to get this done in a month, and I have 30 days, or, I'll give myself some type of challenge or up the ante in some way, and it feels really good.
I was thinking about that the other day. I used to use like graphic pens that were a 0.05, so really fine, almost like a hair. But then I would do these large drawings with it. And, there'd be that moment where you almost have a pit in your stomach when you start because it's overwhelming. Yeah. But then there's that satisfaction when you finish it, and that kind of, there's almost like a switch when you realize that you can achieve it and you can get there. But we take on these big challenging tasks, like using tiny brushes with massive canvases, that there is that really weird, overwhelming experience that you have at the beginning. And I think that's what really makes us grow and pushes us and puts the energy into the work itself.
Yeah, I think when you accomplish something like that, it feels good and you want to do another and you want to keep going. And I've had moments where I was like, what was I thinking? And sometimes it's so large and it's so much, it's so tedious I have to stop. A couple times that I've like had to stop and do something else and then come back because I couldn't see it anymore, or I hated it. Like I wanted to fight it, or I was like, oh, I'm about to like stab this thing because it's too much. Especially like the blue. I'm like, if I see some more blue, I'm going like, I can't. The variations of blue, like my brain then will melt. So that's why it was great, like, to do like a dark series. I did like those black paintings, and that felt good which was really hard. I had no idea how hard it is to paint like black on like these dark night waters, because since when paint is wet, it's reflective. So I kind of had to cut all my lights off because I usually use like a light, but I couldn't see it because it was shining because it was black and then the light was hitting it. So I kind of had to take all the lights out of my studio using kind of natural light, but kind of put it in a shadow. And then if it was like a dark green or a dark blue or black that I was using, I couldn't see the difference. So it was kind of like knowing my colors and painting kind of blindly, but it was really fun and challenging. And it was like, no one call me, no one in my studio, I need to be by myself, please. And I'd channel something of just like that. And I like that. I like the next challenge. I like putting like, what can I physically do? I do feel like somewhat like an athlete sometimes.
Yeah, pure focus there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so tell us, where are you born and raised? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, Biden country. And my father lived in Philadelphia. My parents were divorced, but I would go up and visit him. on weekends. So we did a lot of like the Philadelphia Art Museum or the Barnes Museum often. Yeah.
How far is Delaware to Philly?
I was like maybe 25, 30 minutes.
Oh, so it's not far.
Yeah. It's like people live in Wilmington and work in Philly.
And then what were you like as a kid kind of growing up then?
I think as a kid, I always drew and painted, or not painted like in high school, but I was always drawing or creating something. I think I was less social. I think I liked to be by myself. I had friends. I was always accepted. I wasn't like the outcast kid or anything, but I really like didn't want to hang with a lot of people. So I was kind of like, I like to read a lot. Yeah, and draw. Just things are like what I do now.
Yeah. Do you remember what you liked to draw as a kid?
Well, I had a lot of fun being a little entrepreneur. I used to draw like Garfields and stuff, like sell like cartoons to my friends or something. People like, hey, what, you want me to do Garfield with your name and a bubble like a thought or something, and I'd sell for 50 cents or something. Or I was always drawing cartoons. And then I remember in a phase, and I would like draw George Michael. I remember I drew a lot of him because I loved the Faith album that time. Like, and then it was like maybe I had one moment when it was like Michael Jackson or I don't know, like pop stars, and I would just draw images that I've seen. And then I started like, doing a lot of pastels, and it was fun. I had a lot of exploration with that kind of stuff. My mom always made sure we had art supplies in the house.
Was she an artist too, or?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a postal worker, but she did do photography. Even there was a moment when she had a dark room. We had this extra bathroom downstairs, I guess a powder room, and she made that her dark room to develop her film. She was always taking photographs. And sometimes she would paint too. So it wasn't uncommon, like for us to just be drawing or something. But I'd look at TV, at a drawing pad. It was always that, like some form of artistic expression in the house.
Are some of those older drawings that you did as a kid still around?
Probably, but if my mom starts to put them up, I'll rip them down. I'm like, why do you have this up, Mom? It's terrible. I'll go to an aunt's house and she'll have like something. I'm like, can you please take that down? Stop.
Yeah. I love that stuff though when it pops up because it's your past self, and then at some point maybe in the future you can, show those or maybe not, but it's how you got to where you are, it's a part of that story.
True.
Yeah. And so did you at a young age, go to high school, secondary school as we say in England, but from high school to art school, what was that journey like?
I went to Spelman College. I think at first I was like, I'm going to be a history major or maybe a psychology major. But I gravitated to art classes, and then I was like, I'm just going to be an art major. And of course, my parents were like, what? Like maybe a minor? And I was like, nope. And then they're like, well, you could still go to law school.
Yeah, there's still hope.
Yes, there's something about, okay. And then I ended up going to NYU for graduate school, and then in painting. But I don't think the program was right for me at the time. I think I got a little lost in it. And I think at the moment in the art world, it was so much like they were pushing away from figurative work. And that's what I did. And I don't know, I just felt like I didn't figure out the program that was right for me then. And I kind of like quit painting for a bit. And then...
what was it like being in New York at that time?
I was lost. I think it was too much at first. I think I needed a little bit more time before I went to grad school. I think I needed to figure out, I came from a very nurturing like household, and then I went to Spelman, which was pretty small, and I think New York was just a little too much. So it was like overwhelming, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I lost my footing. But then I end up fit modeling for a bit. Believe it or not, fitting clothes for fashion houses. And then...
What was that like?
It was actually fun because you made a lot of money and you just tried on clothes. It was kind of cool. I enjoyed it because I had a steady schedule. It wasn't like modeling and where you a lot of castings where you see if they like you or not. After you get set, like it could be like a long time steady job. And I couldn't do a lot of regular modeling because I wanted to take the camera from the photographer. Like I wasn't a good model, I don't think at all. I wanted to be, I'm like, no, I think it'd be better like this. And I'd be like, wait, you're not the idea person here? Can you go? So it was just not right for me. And then I did a lot of other things. I did like art direction, a public policy for a bit, and then I wrote a children's book, and I was trying to figure it out. But I always painted on the side. But it wasn't, I don't know, until I found the water where it really made sense and I felt like I could say something in a way that contributed to the art movement today.
Yeah.
You know, I felt like I could always paint very hyper-realistically. But to me, I was like, if you have a camera, there's no purpose of that talent. Like I thought I was born at the wrong time. But when water is pushed on the body and there's abstraction, and then I could paint it like that, but then also play with it, make it better. You know, like I'm working from an image. I work from my own images. I take photos first, but the images a lot of times aren't as great or as beautiful as the way I can paint it. Like it's enough. You know, it's not like a publishable. Some of them are good. Really good, like I could do a photo show one day. But a lot of them aren't. But I could see what I could do to it. You know, I can enhance it this way. And I got the right composition if I crop it here. And that's really fun to push it. That's why I kind of have a little bit of a hard time with assistants in my studio. Because if I get someone and they can paint exactly like the photo, I'm like, I wouldn't do that. I mean, then how can I direct them to be in my mind? Like, kind of like that, or maybe they could do some kind of base or something, but it's still very difficult because I can't tell until I'm in there painting it how I'm going to play with it. So I'm not like a Chuck Close, and some people think I am. Like they'll see it because it looks so much like a photograph. They think I'm gridding it and copying the photo, but I'm not. I'm like, I like this part here. I'll put that here. I'm moving it around.
Yeah, the photo's like a springboard
Yes.
into the painting that you're doing.
Yeah.
You said you wrote a children's book. What was that about?
Hair and skin complexion. It was really like looking at my daughters and thinking about beauty and identity. And the book's called Same Difference. And it's about these cousins that, you know, compared their looks. But it was just something I wanted my children to have, and I first like wrote it thinking for them, and then I like kind of self-published it, and it was kind of fun.
Yeah. And then so, you know, thinking about the water, you know, you said you can take a picture, but you can imagine how you can make that picture better.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you see in your mind? Like, do you kind of sketch it out, or how do you go from that photograph to, you know, the incredible paintings that you're making?
Well, I put it on I don't mostly print my pictures. I print it so I could see the ideas I'm going to have, but I paint from a monitor. And while I'm painting it, sometimes if you change the ratio like really high, you could see other colors, like the pixel. And I'm like, then I start seeing ways I'm going to enhance it. Like there's one area of this one image I'm doing, it looks all muddy, but I made it like this swirl, you know, like because I could see. I don't know. It's kind of very intuitive. I'll choose what I'm going to take and what I can push and what's important and what makes it good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a little bit more here, or I'm like, this is look really good, but I know I'm going to blacken that side, you know, enhance it in these ways. I can kind of like see it. I guess I can see it finished a little bit, but it's just hazy. You know, I got an idea, and then it's not until I got the brush in my hand do I really know what I'm going to give and take and what's important. It's from one area to the next. I'm not a painter in a way where I put everything down and then tighten it up. I remember taking art classes, and they say, like, rough it, you know, put the base, this. I don't do that. I finish it. I kind of go out, like, paint it exactly finish, and I just move out from an area. So it's kind of like a printer.
Yeah.
You know, like that's my hand. I could make it. And then I'll go back after it's kind of done and then see what I got to tweak here or there. But I don't rough it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't have a full sense.
When your painting is printing, so to speak, does it ever make mistakes? Like, or do you ever kind of go back and cover something up or feel like that's what it was, but actually this is what it should be?
Yes. And then sometimes I say it, like there's this one piece that's at LACMA right now. It's one of my favorite paintings that I did, The Space in Which We Travel. And it was like this left side is really dark. And the photo reference didn't have, I think it got cut off or it's not that size, whatever, it made the canvases way larger. And then I remember I didn't want it to be so dark. And so I painted that over and over like 3 times trying to lighten it. And it kept coming out dark. And then I was like, you know what? God wants it dark. And it's just going to, it made more, like I couldn't stop myself. I kept trying to, it looked really moody. And then I was scared it looked too moody and too dark and almost scary. And these shapes and figures came out that looked like they could be, I don't know, there's something in there. And then, I don't know. Then I was like, no, accept it, keep going. So sometimes I fight my own self. And then sometimes it works. Like I'm like, that totally doesn't work. It looks terrible. I'm questioning sometimes color palettes that I'm doing too. Like, so I'm like, oh, it's a little too pink here or too, you know, and then I'll go back in. Or sometimes I've even scratched some idea. Like I thought it would be really great if I did all the stuff at the top and then I look at it and I'm like, flatten it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It competes.
I love the story about the piece that's in LACMA. Like it knew what it wanted to be.
Yes.
You didn't have a choice there.
I didn't. And I kept doing it. That it was a huge area. Yes, the right side. If you go see it at LACMA or you know the piece, The Space in Which You Travel, it's like this right side was like, it's like really dark. And she gets, I love like there's this like foot that's up at the top that's kind of like broken apart and it looked great. And then I put like this dark night wave kind of in the corner and none of that was in the photo. It was just like, I felt like it needed to be there. And then the shapes and the movement of the water kind of took over. And it didn't matter. It was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I'm just bringing things here that are supposed to be here. Like channeling something through.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
And so the work that you're creating, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So what is your relationship to time? Like, how do you look at time and the way that you use it and spend it and the way that time works with you?
It's a good question. All your questions are good, though. I'll say, I think, well, I'll tell you, when I'm painting, it's like I lose time. Like, I have to be very careful because I hurt my body. I could sit for hours and I'll say, I'm going to leave at 6. If I get there at 9 or 8 and I'm sitting and painting. And the reason why I'm going to leave at 6 is just because I want a steady presence to see my kids at the end of the day. And I got to remember to protect my body because I could keep going. I've had my back go out before. I will paint. I don't feel myself when I'm painting, especially if I have a really good audiobook, is the best. If I can get lost in a story and that's all I hear, then my hand can just go, you know, and then I'm like, okay, make sure you eat, Calida. And that's something Gerald, that's my husband, he'll call me, but make sure you eat. And I'm like, stop trying to control me. And then, don't tell me what to do. Fine, I'll eat.
Yeah. Then you're like, I forgot to eat.
Yeah. But it's always out of love. He's like, make sure you get food. And I'm like, I don't have time to eat. And I'm just sitting there with it. I obviously have time, but I just feel like I don't ever have enough time in the studio. My relationship to time outside of the studio, it is all moving so fast. I feel like it's moving very fast, but I feel like I'm squeezing a lot in. Maybe that's how I always am. I definitely fill time up with, I definitely feel guilty laying on the couch looking at shows, even though I do love some shows like White Lotus and stuff. I do have that guilt when I do that. I don't know why. I should be able to relax when I get home or read a book. And I read before I go to bed. It helps my brain come down. But I'm always trying to do something. And when I'm with my kids, sometimes they're like, I'm just going to have my daughter's home today. And I was like, so what are you going to do? Are you going to research something? You're going to you can't just be on the iPad. What are you going to research? The sun, star, what is, you going to write a report by the time I get home?
Yeah, what are you learning
now?
What
are you learning? What are you doing? How are you growing?
Yeah.
I was like, maybe you should read something on Buddhism. She's like 9. She's like, I was like, let's learn about Buddhism together. She's like, Mom, what if I just play Roblox with my friends? Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So I do have that. I need to do probably more vacations.
Where do you think that comes from for your personality, in the sense of always wanting to do something or learn something or kind of be growing in that sense?
I want to say from loss of losing my cousin at one time. But that was I was in my early 30s when that happened. I think I was still like that. But I think even with some of my best friends, I recognized how fast time was going even when I was young. I was like, I can't believe I'm about to be at this age. It's it's going to go fast. I remember saying that forever. I definitely don't believe when some people are really reckless. Oh, there's this book. I wish I knew the name of it. It was something about it was popular about a girl who she lost a year of time because she was just high on drugs. That would irritate the hell out of me. I was so irritated with the book. And there's a popular book. I was like, this is horrible. She just stayed high. She lost a whole year. How do you do that? That would drive me insane. Just the thought of losing that much time without any productivity.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. I feel like it's okay. You have one life. So I got to use it. And I want to really take advantage of this. I feel like I got it. Okay, so what am I going to do with it? And I don't know. I don't feel like I'm wasting. I think I've done pretty good. I feel like I got enough, but then I just make another challenge and I just want more. I'm greedy. I don't know.
Yeah, and it is funny how time does move so fast. Just swimming. I've been saying I'm going to learn to swim for the last 30 years. Then you end up in your mid-40s and you're like, wait, I still didn't do that.
Yeah.
I thought I was making room for that, and then it just moves so quickly.
It does. It moves very fast, and I try to I need to do better because I think I do a lot of things with my family. I got to do better with printing photos and looking at them so I can remember what's happening. Because things are moving so fast, I think I'm not appreciating so much of what is happening. I feel people, are you excited? That's a weird question. I wish I was more excited about more things. I think I'm okay, but after that, I got to do this. And after that, I have to do this. So then I don't get to sit and enjoy some of the, I don't know, the joy.
Yeah.
Maybe I miss some of that sometimes because I want to achieve. And so maybe there's a little bit of, a lack of something there.
Do you think your family appreciate the time that you put into your work? And do they kind of understand what the work means to you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I do a thing where we have a family chat. It's called People I Tolerate, right? And I post almost every day when I'm in the studio so they can see the progress. So at the end, it's so my kids can see it, and then they come and see it before, it gets taken away or something. But it is this, they're my cheerleaders going on. And then when I have my shows, I try to bring them with me. So it's we did it.
Yeah.
So they go along with me. So I think they appreciate it. And they see how, hard I'm working at something. And then I try to be there for their things, Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then try to revel in they have a lot of successes themselves, and I value them too.
Yeah, I love that. So you don't just disappear for work, like they see the work that you're actually doing throughout the day or throughout a piece.
Yes. Like I'll try to do something like the end of my workday so they can see it. Then they, oh, you got a lot done. Or, you didn't do that much. I'm like, stop texting me. That part was hard, okay?
Yeah.
But they get to see it, all the way. So, yeah, I think that's necessary. So, it's not like I'm just gone. Or like one of my youngest, she'll, FaceTime me. And she'll be like, so what are you working on? What part now? And then I'll turn it around and show her. And I'm trying to get this part. I'm going to leave as soon as I'm done here. Okay. And then I go home and then we'll read something or look at something. Or,
And within your work, there's such a spirit and an energy. Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. I think I am high energy.
Yeah.
I think it's me really working out the spirit. I'm trying to make sense out of this space. As I'm feel like I value it, I'm also questioning all of it. I'm trying to have faith. I'm not religious. I may say the word bless or faith, and all of these words are connected to a religion, but I'm not. And I think because of that, it's like believing that there's something more. I truly do. There's something more here. I want as much time here as I can, but I feel like there's something, and there's a larger type of system in place, and I'm trying to make sense out of it.
Yeah. What do you want the legacy of your work to be or say or do?
I want people to feel where they can agency and feel like even though this life is so overwhelming, if you just breathe and relax, you'll float to the top. Just take it. There's going to waves knock you down. There's going to be things that are going to hit you. You got to get back up.
Yeah.
And keep going. I hope my legacy, people will see that in the work and feel resilience, feel strength, and feel like they're being seen. And that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hope some of those things will just resonate.
Yeah. And I think that's, it's embedded within the work, because being an artist isn't easy. It's a bizarre career choice. It takes a lot of time and effort. And I'd love to hear about some of the challenges or the hurdles that you face to kind of be where you are now as an artist and create the work at the scale that you're able to.
Well, I think the biggest challenges I learned was with me, in my own mind of what I could and couldn't achieve. I think for a very long time, I did not believe I could be a professional artist and make money. And I think even though, I'm saying, my family, they're supportive of anything I did, but they were still what you doing? So that's always in the back of my head. Well, I could always go and do this if this doesn't work. And then when you do that, you put so much energy in your plan B that plan B becomes plan A, because that's where your energy is. And I had to do a leap of faith of just saying, okay, I'm going to not make any money for a second. I'm just going to figure out how I could contribute to art history. How can I? And it's we're all reinventing the wheel. I don't see we're all trying to figure this life out or this human experience or even color theory or just ways to push paint or material or we're all doing it in different ways, but how can you do it in a different way that makes people expand our thought process? How can we push it? And I think I just started. I'm trying to push myself in different ways and trying to. You're not going to go to my a show one day. I'll have some retrospective, I hope, and you won't go there and see all the paintings look the same. After I've achieved, like if I can do that, I want to push myself to make something more and new. I want to grow.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
And that's why we're artists.
Yeah.
And I think that's the interesting thing about being an artist, is that you have that power of reflection to look back and see how you've grown, and like you're saying, having a retrospective at some point, you get to see all these different chapters in your life. And, that's why I think Garfield should be in the retrospective, because, like that's definitely a part of you, and that's led to all this other work as well. How, you have these different chapters of work in your life. Have you documented all of that work? Does photography exist of all the work, all the paintings that you've created? Do you have all of that?
Yes, I've been documenting, especially everything with the water. Yes, I've been really good at that. I'm a great photographer that I think could capture the work well.
And do you have that in a system or a place where you can reflect on it or come back to it?
I needed to be a little bit more organized.
Yeah.
But I also, like the photos of what I'm doing now, I have a lot. So one photo shoot, I could have 400 images. And I've done so many now. I have an arsenal that I could go to and create shows. And then there's some point that I may show some photography, but not yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I still want to push the paint, but I have a lot of work I want to still tap into and create.
Mm-hmm. If you ever released a book kind of around your work, would it have photography, paintings? Would you write? What would you imagine that would look like?
Well, I do have one book, it was at the Perez Museum, and that was, it had some of the older work, but I could imagine doing a more inclusive book that had some writing. I like to write. I could put some photography. I could do all of that. That would be kind of fun. But I don't know. I think I'm still like building towards something. I don't know when it will end, where I feel like I've really fully hit my like true peak. But I can see the work developing in a way that I'm pretty happy about.
Yeah. There's interesting ways to think about an unseen path that you can't see, but we're walking it,
Yeah.
And along that path, there's these destinations for you and the work, and you can only get there by working through it and walking through it. And that's a really interesting way of thinking about it. What do you love to write about?
Life. Like sometimes I'm like, I have like movie ideas, I think, more than anything. Like, oh, that would be a great story. Or I used to write also like a mom blog. So I used to write
really?
a little bit. Yeah. So they were kind of like little funny stories. It's called A Crazy Mom with Kids. Sometimes I'll read it from time to time. But
Like a nice diary now, probably.
Yes, it is. It is like a diary. I can go back and think about things. Or who I was, as you said, in another chapter. But I don't write as much as I wish I could. But I do have story ideas in my head. And sometimes, like, I just love wordplay. That's why I like to read books, but also like listen to books. I have a whiteboard when I'm coming up with titles of my work. Sometimes it's like some line that I hear, and I'll just like put some of the words up on the board. I enjoy like the poetic nature of words. Like there was one painting I just did, and it was like here, after, now. But like just thinking about what's going on right now politically, I feel like there's like a loop. Like right now, I feel like we're in this, I feel like time could be very cyclical instead of like seeing it as a line. There's people that even written, discuss that, but it's kind of like thinking of these turnings of this time that it seems so much reminiscent of like what we went through in the 60s, like fighting for human rights. Like we're and it's like, oh, we're right back at this cycle, this moment. And I'm reading a lot about that and thinking of that in the paintings, but also with text. It's like in the back of my head, like this play. And so that's why the title would be like here, after, now. It kind of doesn't make sense in a sentence form, but here and now are kind of connected.
Yeah.
And so it's like this circle we're in.
And do you approach the way that you name your work kind of in a similar way? Because I've noticed that you have really, the titles that you use are almost like little stories or vignettes in themselves.
Yeah, I think it is. I think I'm looking at a painting and I'm thinking of how I feel when I'm painting it. And then I'm also thinking of words that can play a part to have your brain go to those places, but also open enough too, where someone could bring their own story to it. I don't want to be like painting illustrations. I don't want to tell anyone how to feel. Like this piece I'm working on now, I'm trying to decide. Simply, I feel like it's the unraveling. And I was like, should I just title that? And then I had underneath it, after that, it was like the loosening of threads, And then like I've been just playing with different ways of saying unraveling. And I put that up and I was like, is it, I don't know the title yet, but it's going to be one of like a play of that.
Yeah.
Like this, because that's where I feel like I was thinking about it. And I was like, people say, how are you? Especially right now. Like you can't get off the news cycle about like kind of feeling like this is crazy, right? And everyone says fine. And then I was like, what's the real answer? How do I feel? And the only thing I could think of this painting I'm painting right now, it's like, I feel like there's no words for it. It's more, I'm breathing while things are unraveling.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm still here as other things are falling apart in some way. I don't know if I want to be optimistic and say we're about to do a reset, and we're going to reset and re-examine of what didn't work before to figure out what we can do going forward in a better way. I hope that we can fight to make that happen. But the ground feels like it's shaking beneath my feet, but I'm trying to stay steady.
Yeah.
And so I'm right now, like I said, I'm painting a piece, thinking a little bit of that. So there's like these threads. Yeah.
And they're unraveling.
They're unraveling. Like I'm a part of that too. Like
Yeah.
The body is unraveling.
How did you find yourself in LA?
When I got married, Gerald he did production work. And we lived in New York together. And I knew I wanted to have children. This was also like, I was like, if I have kids in New York or around New York, I'm not leaving because my parents are close. I was like,
Yeah.
like after I have children, I'm planted, I'm pretty sure. Especially my parents right here. So I was like, if he was always talking about going to California. I was like, I don't know anyone in California. I'm up for an adventure. But if we do it before I have kids, you want to go? Let's just go. And we just did let's just go to Cali. I didn't really know anyone. It was just like, let's try it. And he wanted to do that because he was in film. I was like, okay, I'll figure it out. And it was kind of fun just to start over. And I came here and it's been wonderful. For a minute, it took a minute to get used to it.
How long ago was that?
20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I'm here. Like it's my home. But it took a while for it to be my home. I kept saying, how did I come up? Why did I go so far from my family? Because I'm pretty close to my family.
Yeah.
But I think it was a great decision for me, especially like with art while I'm figuring out my way. I think I kind of had that space to think in between going to grad school and being lost. I think that was my moment. And it was hard for many years of not feeling like you have a talent, but you had no idea what to paint is very frustrating. I couldn't figure out what to do, what to make. And I couldn't figure out how to put all of me in the work. And it wasn't until I found the element of water where I could find a use for I could explore with hyperrealism, where I could find a balance to use everything about me and even how I think of life. I was able to figure it out, but I had to go through all that, and it took me a minute. And even though I didn't like that time, this unease and the stress of feeling like you have that energy, you need to put it somewhere, but you don't know how to express it. But I realize now, going through everything, taking my kids to school, seeing that woman, asking how she worked out, going and learning how to swim, even though it didn't feel like it was pushing me toward my right path, every step of the way got me to where I am. And I needed that.
What else do you think LA has given you that New York couldn't have?
New York has a little bit of a harder life to me, New York City. And just, I like getting in my car and driving to the store, putting my groceries in. It is not like it was hard. Get on the subway or to drive around. Everything was a little bit more difficult to move around, and I feel like there's some element of you give yourself a badge of honor because you rough it out and you have a 5-story walk up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like I was able to get bigger space, even though it's ridiculously expensive here. I'm like, I don't understand, why gas is so high and why are these prices so high? That goes into the politics of what we were, a little bit before. But it's very hard to financially afford this time. I don't understand. And so I'm in LA, I'm planted, but my eye is looking at other places. What is happening here?
Yeah, it is interesting being in LA because I'm like, if you move anywhere else, you have a discount on everything in your life.
Everything.
Water, gas, insurance, everything in your life could be discounted if you just move.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre.
It is ridiculous. We're paying for the sunshine.
Yeah.
The sunshine is a tax.
Yeah, but I live near the beach and there isn't really much sunshine.
Oh, well.
Only in the summer.
Yeah.
I wish someone told me about that before I moved there. But
I know you got the fog.
There's marine layer. Yeah, there's May grey and June gloom. And, November to February, it's basically grey.
But only in the morning, right?
Only in the morning, but sometimes until the afternoon as well. Yeah, but no one told me that.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So what's coming up in the future that you're excited about or, that's going to be challenging or, what's around the corner for you?
Well, I'm excited. I have a show in London.
Oh, I love that. My hometown.
Yes. In September.
Okay.
September 11th.
Okay.
It's going to open there. So I'm going to take one of my children to go visit colleges next week. And then when I get back, I'm all about the show.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And what's what's kind of the theme or the drive for London?
Probably the unraveling.
Yeah.
It's really how I'm responding to this time of reflection. Yeah. It is a time of reflection and figuring things out. So I think the work will look a little bit more, I don't want to say cerebral, but kind of like a play of reflections and the body. I was going to push a little closer in where you can't tell where the body begins and the water ends. Where there's kind of a lost moment of trying to figure it out. I think that will be in the work, a little bit more mysterious than some of the work that's highly representation. You see a woman in the water with a white dress or something. Now, this is becoming a little bit more of abstraction, but with these hyper-realistic moments in it. So trying to bring both into one, like a balance in a canvas of abstraction and hyper-realism.
I love that. I'm just trying to imagine, would I know what I was looking at if the two things are one,
Yeah.
And how much does someone's imagination then play into, is it something else or is this what I think I'm looking at?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I'm sure there's a lot of work to be done then for that show.
Yes, I'm a little stressed. I started a smaller one. I don't think it'll be in the show, but I needed to figure out the color palette. I had to figure out like what they'll kind of look like. So that's what
Yeah.
the first one.
Will this be your first show in Europe?
Yes. So I'm very excited.
Okay, that's exciting. And you know, your work gets to travel across a big body of water.
Yes, it does.
To get there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. And what, in general, do you think is the point of art?
I don't know. I think art is a marking of that we are here. The point of it is to express our presence, to almost document our presence. It doesn't necessarily have to be beautiful. It's just really like we were here.
Yeah.
And these feelings, emotions, history, time, experience happened. And that's what art does. It shows the human experience. It's a documentation of the human experience.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm very excited about London in September.
Yes.
Where can we keep an eye on information for the show?
Probably in my Instagram.
Okay.
I'll post it pretty soon. Maybe next week when I come back, I'll be like, hey, everyone,
Yeah.
mark this on your calendar. And they're probably Lehman Maupin. I'm with Lehman Maupin Gallery. They'll probably post some things. And yeah.
That's exciting.
I'll probably, every once in a while just keep saying, hey, come, make sure you remember. We'll be there. But I'm probably going to go kind of quiet on the internet next too, because I've got to work.
We're not going to see you or hear from you for a while.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming in today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of What's the Point? Recorded at Spotify Studios in Los Angeles. Check out our website made by Eat.studio. Grant Alexander Peters does our theme music, engineering and editing. Research and pre-show preparation are done by Vern Molidor and Joyce Adams-So from the Shantell Martin studio team. If you like this episode, please consider subscribing to the podcast and leaving a nice 5-star review. Don't forget to check out the show description for more information on today's guest. And you can follow myself and the podcast on Instagram at Shantell_Martin. What's the point? I'm walking along the ocean. I see the sea coming in. I'm walking along the ocean. I'm walking along the sea. I see the sand. I see the sand between my feet, between me. Walking along the ocean, there's no one on the beach, there's no one on the sea, there's no one on the sky, there's no one on the sand, there's no one on the sun, there's no one on the snails and the snail, 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 sun. Walking along the ocean, walking along the sea, there's no one next to or beside me. The beach is all myself, the beach is all my mind, the beach is all my sea, and the sea, I see some sand. As I walk and I talk and I think about life, and I walk and I talk and I think about that knife. The knife I cut my hand with, the knife I cut that slice with, that slice of bread, that slice of bread, that slice of bread. Would you like some tea? Would you like some tea, sir? Would you like some tea, sir, with your toast, for the toast with the most? the sky, walking along the sand, walking along the pie, the apple pie, the apple pie, the apple pie in the eye, the apple pie, the apple pie, the apple pie in the sky. Did you ever come back? Did you ever come back? Did you ever come back, apple pie from the sky? And you wouldn't really want that. And you wouldn't really want that apple pie in the sky when you come back. Will you come back? Will you come back? Please don't die, apple pie in the sky. I see you, slithering snake. I see you, slithering snake. I see you, see you, slithering snake. Apple pie in the sky, apple pie in the sky. Why do I always think about apple pie? I'm meant to be walking by myself on this beach, on the sand, in the sun with the sky. Thinking about life, but my mind keeps floating away to another day that's not today. I see you, slithering snake. I see you, slithering snake. I see you, slithering snake. I see you, slithering snake.